Hey guys, Yoiston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are on this fine December Sunday. Today is the 5-year anniversary of this channel, and this live stream will be our last video of 2019. It means so much that you guys could join me today. I've been watching the live chat since I put up the premiere about 2 hours ago, and it's been nice watching all of you guys talk and you know, getting ready, getting hyped for the stream. It means a lot, you know. Yeah, so today will be, or this live stream will be the last video of this year. There won't be another video published later today or anything like that. You know, I like to take these live streams, especially, you know, over summer and for me, winter break, and just really connect with you guys, and you know, just talk and just catch up, you know, kind of assess where the channel's at, where we're going to be going, all of that good stuff. And yeah. So I just flipped the picture to this is one of my favorite screenshots from my Lord of the Rings online directory, and it's of the Shire from Little Delving, right outside of Mickle Delving. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me and being here on this anniversary. I can't believe it's been 5 years, you know? Like oh, sorry, I just cut the quality here. I hope the quality of the pictures and the audio is all good. Let me know if it isn't, and I'll try to fix some things. But yeah, thank you guys for being here on the anniversary, and I'm just so excited that you guys are all here and all excited for the anniversary. I mean, I can't believe it has been 5 years. Now, the channel itself has been mostly active for almost 3 years now. February of 2017, I think, is when I started uploading weekly, or on at least a more regular schedule. Oh, yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. Our first super chat of the day, Zero Cool. My friend, you bowed to no one. Just as you bowed to no one, my friend. You guys are all incredible. Such an incredible community, you know, and you know, I can't say this enough, but I'm just so fortunate, right? I know there are a lot of creators out there, a lot of people to watch and to choose from, and it means the world to me that you guys choose to watch my content. That, you know, like I always say, I'm just a Tolkien fan like you guys with a microphone, right? And there's nothing special about me that other Tolkien fans don't have as well, right? Thrandwheel333, thank you so much for the super chat. Sending well wishes from Mirkwood. Well, let's see, where's this man of the West today? I would say I love Arnor, so sending well wishes from the lost kingdom of Arnor. But I will say hello from the United States, as the actor from Yoiston is. Yeah, man, there are a lot of people here. It's great to talk to you all. Again, it's just nice. Well, I say actor of Yoiston, but I am Yoiston. You know, it's both, right? I mean, it's like, I feel like the personality that I put into Yoiston is it's the Tolkien part of me, and honestly, one of the better parts of me, right? I just try to be the best person I can be while in this channel, while representing it. So. Oh, I did want to shout out to Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, and Kyle Wetzel, our Valar tier patrons, as well as a big shout out to all of our patrons in general. It means the world to Royan and I. Royan, who couldn't be here today, but Royan's my partner in crime. We do our podcast together. It means the world to him and I that you guys support the channel and us in such a way. But I mean, yeah, it just means a lot to me that you guys choose the channel, that we've been here for 5 years now. I remember creating this channel like it was yesterday, honestly, and I never thought it would have the success and the meaning to so many people that it has, you know? You just can never tell. Just as Gandalf says, it's not even the very wise can see all ends. It's so true. Chris Murphy, welcome to Free Person of Arda. Chris Murphy is I guess he joined the membership part of the channel. That's just a new thing. That's where it's like, if you see next to my subscribe button, the join button. That's what that is. It gives you special I think emojis during live streams and live chats, as well as I think, yeah, it should put that ring by your name like it is with Chris Murphy. It's just something small that I set up. If you guys support the channel, like, it's just a small thing you can do. I would still say the best way you can support the channel is by either buying the merch or joining us on Patreon, listening to our podcasts. Honestly, while the merch does mean a lot to me, and it's great that you guys like the merch, the podcast, the Westerness podcast that Ryan and I do, that on Patreon, that means the most to me, because then you get to connect with us on Discord. We can, talk a little bit more closely, and yeah, you guys can watch our podcasts where, actually, since I'm talking about it now, I will put that up on the screen. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Yeah, this is our most recent podcast, the Silmarillion characters tier list. So this is the 20th episode of the podcast. They're all on Patreon. They should always be there to watch, and they're always accessible to our patrons. So it means a lot to me, you guys. Yeah, and thank you so much. Again, this channel only is what it is because of you guys, and yeah, I mean, it means a lot that you're all here and that you're all joining me today. So let's get to your questions. Yeah, let me switch this to, there we go, Menace Tirith. Oh, I see some new super chats. Caleb Wheeler, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, thank you for 5 years of fun and lore. Go with the goodwill of all three peoples. Thank you, man. It means a lot. Voice of Reason, who do you think they will cast to play Sauron in his Anatar form in the Amazon show? Good question. And thank you for the super chat. I think, so I know they casted, I can't remember his name, the guy who played Benjen Stark in Game of Thrones. Let me just look up his name real fast. Joseph Mowley. He's cast as a leading villain in Lord of the Rings. I think he would be good, at least a good version of Sauron when Sauron was on Numenor, because Joseph Mowley kind of has the appearance of a man in Middle-earth more than an elf, or even more, I would say, than a dwarf, right? But with the beard and everything, I would say if Sauron shifted his form to match those of the Númenóreans or something like that, I would say he would make a pretty good Sauron. I still think Benedict Cumberbatch as Sauron in The Hobbit, I would have loved to see more of that. I think he would make the perfect Anatar. Let's see here. I see some people talking about... Oh, Marion Baggins says, do a video on the unknown women of Middle-earth. Let's see. I do want to do more videos on the women of Middle-earth because, I think that's something that maybe some modern critics have a problem with Tolkien's works, is maybe his representation of women and other cultures or ethnicities or something. But honestly, I think if you read it how it's intended to be, Lord of the Rings, I think you will see a lot more diversity than a lot of these critics say. But yeah, I will do more videos, at least on the women of Middle-earth. So if they're unknown women, I probably wouldn't have much lore to work with in the context of a video. But I do want to do more on, I guess, the lesser known women, like the ones that have maybe even big roles, but nobody talks about them, such as Melian the Maya, or a lot of people talk about Luthien, Erethel, how about Torgon's sister, right? People like that. I do want to talk more about that. Peter says, why not Adam Sandler as Sauron? I don't know. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. I do hear he just did a dramatic role, so maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Keith MCB McBee asks, Yoyston, would you say you've read everything Tolkien has written, maybe more than once? I would not, actually. I think that's kind of a misconception that people have with YouTubers who do kind of have a lot of lore knowledge with like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. like I haven't read, everything there is. I've read, especially in the researching of videos and stuff like that, I've read a great deal of the lore and what Tolkien has written, but to say I've read everything, no, that's not true. Especially because, right, the histories of Middle Earth, that's like a 12-volume, saga of his notes and everything like that. That's, well, again, I've referenced a lot of these things, or I've done some minor research into maybe a lot of the things he has written. I can't say I've read everything, and I think there are only a few people who ever have. Nice. Yeah. Okay. I've never seen the membership. I just put in the membership emojis and stuff like a month ago into play. So it's cool to see the emotes being used by the members. And thank you again to the members who are supporting the channel in such a way. Let's see. Blackie Lawless says, do a video discussing the band Summoning and Blind Guardian. They are bands that are dedicated to Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. That would be a very fun video to make, for sure. And a lot of people have recommended the Blind Guardian's like Silmarillion album, which I've actually listened to quite a bit of that. It's really good stuff. And in that same kind of line of thinking, I'd also like to make a video, or at least maybe a video on all these different music influences that Tolkien's works have had, because like we talked about in the last live stream, Led Zeppelin, a lot of Robert Plant's lyrics are Tolkien, Lord of the Rings related. So, ooh, Marion Baggins, Tom Hiddleston as Sauron. That would actually be pretty cool. I think the only thing, because we've seen him as Loki a lot, right? That's what he's, I would say, most well known for. The only thing is he would have to kind of differentiate himself from that role a little bit, make sure it's not completely, like the Norse god or the Marvel's version of the Norse god. He'd have to be quite different, but I could see him as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, so for sure. It's good to see everybody, and if you're just joining us now, thank you so much. Like I said earlier, this is our 5-year anniversary of the channel. It's crazy. It doesn't feel like 5 years, but there it is. And it means a lot. This is our last video of 2019, so this is kind of a good send off for the year. All that stuff. And again, a big shout out to our patrons. Thank you guys so much for that. I also wanted to give a thanks. So one criticism I would say that the channel and myself have gotten is about the artists, right? And I did want to take a minute to discuss that real fast. So I wanted to say a special thanks to Tolkien Gateway. I shout them out in quite a few of my recent videos. Thanks to Tolkien Gateway and other online resources. If you guys want to know more, I would recommend going to them, right? They have a lot of in-depth things, a lot of citations of where you can find certain pieces of lore in the books. I would advise some caution, however, because I have noticed there are some things on Tolkien Gateway that are actually wrong. It's kind of like almost a Wikipedia situation where I think certain people can go in and enter things. So just be careful of that, but it is a great resource. So also the online artists. So I use a lot of artwork, right, that I find online, that I find on Google and Bing and all this stuff, on the internet. I use a lot of that in my videos. And while it is legal under copyright law to do this for transformative and educational and entertainment purposes, I do understand definitely the whole, give the artists credit. And now I made a video on this a while back, a long time ago. It is hard to find the exact artists and get all the exact permissions and all that kind of stuff before creating a video. But if there are artists out there whose works are featured in my videos, and to be fair, I say this, I think in almost, if not every description of a video that I have out there, if your art is used in the video, just let me know and I'd love to get your name, a link to your artwork or your website or whatever it is, and then just timestamp on that video, and then I can go in the description after the video's up, and I can put in the artist's name, the website, all that kind of stuff. It's a good way because, like, if I tried to find every artist whose artwork I do use, I would say, I probably would mess up sometimes because artwork is everywhere, right? If it started on one place, it could end up on Twitter, and then it could end up on, like, Pinterest. So I could be citing the wrong place and the wrong illustrator and author. So if your work or a work of somebody you know or an artist you know is featured in a video, just let me know, and I'd love to get that website, plug that artist whose work is in the video in the description of that video. It's the least I could do. Again, a big thanks to all the artists. So I just did want to say that. And I don't plan to stop using artwork and stuff, but I have gotten some criticisms about like, well, how dare you don't cite them. To be fair, if the artist has written their name on the artwork, I always try to use that to show that name in the video, right? So if it's the artwork and then they sign blah 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 2019, I try to show that as I'm using their picture, so it gives them some citation, some credibility, and all that. But yeah, for sure. If you see it, that's the most that's the least I could do. So yeah, send me a message, send me an email, whatever it is, and I'll try to be able to be like, okay, here's the artist. I'm going to put it in the description. So anyway, enough of that. We'll get back to the lore here. So thank you very much, to everybody and to all the artists. Jason M., thank you for the super chat. I'm new to the channel. You were recommended by Gary from Nerdrotic. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you joined the community, and thank you for the super chat. I heard about that shout out. Now, I haven't really watched a lot of his videos, so I unfortunately can't mutually shout him out. I don't know much about him, and I can't stake my credibility on his channel, but from what I've seen, he makes a lot of, quote unquote nerdy content. So if sounds interesting, please check him out. Comic Nut 64, it's good to see you, and thank you for the super chat. Can't stay long, Yoyston, but keep on rocking. Here's to 5 more years. P.S. Still never got an answer to Bilbo's clock from the last stream. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Here's to another 5 years. So Bilbo's clock from the last stream. I'm rereading The Hobbit right now too. I love it. It's like the perfect right before bed story. So there are a couple things in The Hobbit especially where I'm like, that's a little weird. That sounds a little weird in the context of Tolkien's works. Right, so for instance, I know it says like Gandalf would tell stories, or he was known for telling stories of dragons and princesses being saved by knights and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that feels like generic fantasy more than Lord of the Rings. However, it's the answer Royan and I always go back to, the frame narrative, right? So perhaps it's embellished within the narrative that Bilbo had a clock, right? Or perhaps it's embellished within the story that there are other mythologies that are within the tale, if that makes sense, right? So just like we make up stories in our real life, maybe it would make sense for hobbits to make up stories within the context of Middle-earth to tell, even if it didn't happen, to tell other people, or Gandalf to make up stories. So that might be an answer to your clock, Corey. Or it could be that Bilbo's clock was some relic of the dwarves. I could see the dwarves being ahead on that technology. Little inconsistencies here and there, but it does make you wonder about the magic within Tolkien's work and the characters, therein. So, sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the live chat. Jingle, if you want to ask your question again, I'll try to see it and watch for it and answer it. Oh, Tyler Lund, thank you so much for the super chat, man. It means a lot. Hey, so as far as stories go, what would you like to see be brought to the big screen next? Like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So, thank you again for the super chat, man. I think I saw your question earlier, but I forgot to get to it. So much going on. So I would say a good standalone movie would be the Angmar War, around the year 1975 of the Third Age. You have the Witch King, Eärnur of Gondor, Glorfindel and Elrond, right? You have all these people, and then obviously like the fall of Arnor, which is a whole other kingdom of men that we really haven't seen done too much on screen. I would love that. So that would be a cool one. Obviously, I think a Silmarillion trilogy with the 3 great tales, right? Maybe the first movie is about Beren and Luthien, the second is Turin and Turambar, and the third is Tur and the Fall of Gondolin. Those 3 movies would be incredible, but they'd have to be done right. And obviously, I don't think they can get the rights to it quite yet, but stories like that I would love to see. Maybe also the beginning of the Earth, the Ainu Lindalie, if I'm pronouncing that right, and Melkor and all the other Valar or gods. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Let me see here. So Gandalf Gaming, we do have a Discord server, but it is limited to our patrons. So if you join Patreon for just $1 a month, you'll have access to the Discord server. And I think we have 50-something people on it now, which is great. But I know if I opened up the Discord server, it would be so full. I would need admins. I would need bots and all that kind of stuff, which would honestly be a headache and I have to deal with. So I think keeping it to patrons is nice and kind of just a cool little place for us to all talk together. Sorry, let me get some water before I get my voice fried out here. I'm looking for that question that I asked for. Oh yeah, jingle. Yeah, if you ask the question again, I'll try to find it. Let's see, Marion Baggins, what type of video will the lighting of the beacons be? I think that would actually be a good artifacts of Arda, the beacons of Gondor. That's a great idea, honestly. Speaking of which, if you guys want to throw out ideas for next week's video, I've got plenty of notes in my phone that I could choose from, but since we're here right now, if you guys want to see something in particular next week, just let me know, and I'd love to do it. The Twilight Phoenix, thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. Who would you cast to play Tom Bombadil? Hi from Sweden. Hello from America. It's good to talk to you. Cast as Tom Bombadil. I know there are people out there that like have a bunch of good ideas. I'm trying to think of some. I think if Robin Williams was still with us, rest in peace for sure. He was a great and talented actor. I think Robin Williams would have made quite a good and fun Tom Bombadil for sure. I think what would be kind of a cool homage would be if George R. R. Martin played Tom Bombadil. I think with the right dialogue and the right writing, right, and if it was more of a cameo role, I think George R. R. Martin actually would be kind of funny to see as Tom Bombadil. But you'd need an actor who's very bubbly, very kind and charismatic, fun to be around, but doesn't take things overly serious or too seriously. I'm trying to think. If any more pop in my mind, I'll let you know. Danny DeVito. That's awesome. Lispin Lunatic says Danny DeVito. That'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Jingle, I found your question. Will you ever do an unboxing video of Lord of the Rings figures? That'd be a fun one. I think. I would need particular figures to do. I'm starting to build a collection of Amino. Is that what they're called? Oh, Funko Pops. Funko Pops, Lord of the Rings stuff. After a certain amount of time, if you guys would want to see my collection there, maybe that'd be a good post on the community tab more than anything. But yeah, that'd be fun. I would just need a certain kind of, brand to to unbox, right? Because I wouldn't want to just do random figures from different brands. I'd want to do kind of, here's all the Funko Pops or whatever it is. So yeah, maybe eventually that'd be fun. Marion Baggins, my mom, after the last live stream, wanted me to get a Latro account, and I had my final HSC high school exams for school. So now I can. I don't know if that's what HSC means, but awesome. Yeah, no, if you're on Arkenstone, just let me know. It'd be great to hang out and to see you. Shrooms, thanks for the super chat, man. It means a lot. You haven't heard much from me so much recently because of school, but I'm still here watching every video and listening to every podcast on YouTube and Patreon. He is one of our patrons, so so we've talked quite a bit. Can we have another Latro session soon? Love from Norway. Well, it's good to hear from you, man, and thank you again for the super chat and all the donations over the years and all that good stuff. It means a lot to me and Royan, right? Royan can't be here right now. We missed him by 2 days. If we had maybe done this 2 days ago or something, maybe we could have gotten him. But he's busy on a trip right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to do another Lotro session. The only problem is like we try to do Lotro sessions, Royan and I, and then like it's either way too late our time or way too early or something because we don't really have that many people show up. But if we could find an exact time to do either Battle of Middle Earth or Lord of the Rings Online, I'd love to do another one soon. So, love from America, man. It's good to hear from you. The Fury of Bona, thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. Are you excited for the new Amazon show? Yeah, I'm pretty hyped. So, I think what I'll do, I'm still trying to figure this out in my head, how I'm going to kind of work my videos around the Amazon series. It'll either be that while the show is running, so if it's like a 10 episode thing like Game of Thrones to where you get one episode a week for 10 weeks, it may be that I take a break from normal lore videos and do like just reviews and discussions and live streams and stuff about the show during those 10 weeks, and then I come back to my normal content afterwards. Or it may be that I do lore content and like my normal content and reviews that are like quickly made reviews, so not like super, ones that take me like 8 hours, but ones that maybe take me 2 or 3. Or I do live streams after every video or after every episode. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But yeah, I am totally excited for the show. I will say though, so the last expansion Lord of the Rings Online did, Minas Morgul, it was a phenomenal expansion. I quite loved it. It was, I would say, one of my favorites, right up there next to Helm's Deep. I would say the only thing that kind of worried me from the expansion about the show was that the expansion had to use... They didn't have the rights to all of the names of Isildur's sons. So the only rights that they had were Valandil, because from Valandil was Aragorn's line. But all of his brothers, like Elendor and all the rest of them, like, the game didn't have rights to those. And I was quite surprised, honestly. So hopefully Amazon does have the rights to the stories, right? To the names. So we get actually like Sauron, and I think they said, young Galadriel will be in there, so we don't have to worry about that, right? But I don't know, that was kind of worrying to me. I hope the Amazon show actually has the rights to the Second Age. Otherwise, we'll see how good this show is if they have to make up a bunch of characters and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. Are you guys looking forward to this? Do you guys have some kind of inhibitions concerning it? Because I think we're still about 2 years out. I think that's the plan, is like late 2021 is going to be when the show airs, or like fall of 2021. So let me see. I'm so sorry. I think that's like the hallmark of my live streams, is butchering names. My bad. But Stokarski Skills says he would love to see a video about the Black Gate fall and history of the Black Gate. Yeah, for sure. Let me grab my phone and put that in my notes here. Would you guys like to see that next week, or would you like to see something else to start off the year? Just let me know. But I'll definitely cover that eventually. Honestly, so that's always something I hear, is like, people are like, aren't you afraid you're going to run out of content to talk about? And then I scroll through like the hundreds of ideas that I have on my phone. If each idea is a weekly video, I'm like, we have a lot of time until I run out or feel like I'm running out. So Federica Isu, thank you so much for the super chat. Means a lot. Let's see. SK Marskel says, I think they'll probably add a few characters to the show. As they should. I mean, what we have of the Second Age isn't it. We don't have enough names for a really coherent show. We just have kind of like Sauron, Celebrimbor, Celeborn, Galadriel, right? Like the main ones, Gil-galad. But yeah, so I would say they should, to really outline the world and the cultures. But there's a fine line between inventing some minor characters to highlight different elves and different cultures, and creating whole new major characters, protagonists that have no place in the Second Age. It's going to be a fine line that they walked, but I quite enjoyed Mandalorian overall. I really loved that Mandalorian Star Wars show that's on Disney Plus. So if and I get Mandalorian was like a smaller. I mean, the scope was a lot smaller than the Amazon show is going to be. The Amazon show is going to be the Second Age and Numenor and the Rings of Power and all that versus the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. So, but I quite loved that. If they can really do the production as high, high quality that they did with the Mandalorian, I'll be impressed and I'll be happy. Thank you all for joining. Yeah, if you're new, thank you so much for joining us here today. This is our final video of 2019, and this is our 5-year anniversary of our channel. So yeah, just had to put Pippin on the screen there. 5-year anniversary. So happy anniversary to the whole community, to the whole channel. Again, it's been less time in which that I've done weekly content like you guys now know. It's been more like almost 3 years of weekly videos, but yeah, so we're also approaching that anniversary. But honestly, just the channel having survived for 5 years is pretty cool in and of itself. Oh, yeah, the Twilight Phoenix. Thank you again for the super chat. It means a lot. My biggest concern with the show is that it will fall in the Hobbit movie trap, because Lord of the Rings did it. Or that it will be a Lord of the Rings Game of Thrones skin. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get what you mean there. So, it's funny, like, Tolkien didn't like critics. At least the critics of his day. He kind of took criticism to heart in a lot of ways, and it the modern critics bothered him, because, they didn't like this. They especially hated the Silmarillion, which I think is where Tolkien's heart really was for a big part of his life. I mean, maybe when it came out, the Silmarillion did well, but I feel like the critics still had it's and even today people are like, oh, the Silmarillion's pretty incoherent, it's too hard to read, and it's makes no sense and all this stuff. Take that as you will. I think the criticism of Tolkien's universe even expanded and in some ways lives on into today, because if you look at the Hobbit movies, I understand where people are coming from a technical standpoint, and especially now that I'm rereading the Hobbit, I'm like, okay, they could have done this better, they could have had more information here. With Bilbo, they could have focused on him more rather than 3 movies. They should have done maybe 2 long movies. But I get all those, but I do enjoy the Hobbit trilogy as a Lord of the Rings fan. As a Middle-earth fan, but I do understand the criticisms. So I would only give that so much credence. I would just say we should enjoy the Amazon show for what it is if they stick to the themes of Tolkien's works. If they destroy what Tolkien's works stand for, if they kind of go against it and just openly kind of make a parody almost of it, make a parody of what the movies were and what they mean to people, then they'll have to suffer the wrath of the Noldor, right? Then they're gonna be like, oh man, okay, we angered one of the strongest fan bases in the entire world, right? One of the most dedicated to the lore, one of the most, right? And that will kind of screw Amazon in a way, right? That'll kind of screw things up for them. So, well, I see a lot of hearts now in the super chat, or in the live chat. GV Santa, thanks for the hearts. Can you please do a video on what if Smeagol actually did redeem himself in the Return of the King? Love from California. Thanks for the chat. Yeah, that would be actually a good one. I can add that to maybe my next poll for theories. I like that idea where it's like I have ideas all that I kind of want to cover in a theory, but I let you guys choose, when that'll be and what that'll be. What if Smeagol redeemed himself? I imagine he would have gone into the West at some point. That's probably the only place where he could have truly been healed. Von den Bergen, thanks for the super chat. It means a lot. My concern is that they mess up the Legendarium. Yeah, I mean, me too. I have two primary concerns: that they add too many modern politics, too many modern ideologies within the show, and they screw it up, right? And kind of screw up the Legendarium. They don't know the themes or understand the themes of Tolkien's works. Because like or hate the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, at least Jackson understood the power, the meaning, the message within Tolkien's works, right? So that's one. My other concern is that they just don't have the rights to make a good show, right? That they don't have the rights to everything of the Second Age, so they'll have to like write their ways out of some holes or something, right? That would be kind of scary to see as a fan. And Kaju Spirit, thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. You got me to try Lotru again. Thanks for that. Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I wouldn't be a Lord of the Rings YouTuber if it wasn't for the Lord of the Rings Online and Jackson's movies, as you can tell by all the pictures I've been using up here, these are all from Lord of the Rings Online, and I love that game. So I'm glad you guys are giving it another chance, or that you guys like it as well, Naruto AMV says, fight for Lord of the Rings. Well, and that's another important point too. If I don't like the show, I'm not going to I'm not going to say that I do like the show, right? I'll be honest with you guys. That's, I'm not being paid by Amazon, nor would I accept that kind of like, we'll buy your reviews kind of thing. We'll pay you to give us good reviews. I'm not doing that. That's not who I am. That's not my integrity. And that's not my dedication to Tolkien's works of the Professor. If they screw up the show, I'm gonna be the first to be like, yeah, you guys screwed it up. Here's what you could have done better. I take that inspiration in a lot of ways. I mean, that's who I am, but I am inspired to do that kind of stuff from channels like Star Wars Theory, right? Who, if he doesn't like the Star Wars movies, it's like, he'll say that. So shout out to him. Shout out to Star Wars Theory. Also, shout out to Geek Zone. He and I were talking about something similar yesterday on Discord. It's like, that's how you can tell with YouTubers, and that's honestly what builds the communities and keeps the communities together. I mean, it's the passion that a YouTuber has for the lore and the, what they're talking about. If they lose the passion, if they lose the love, that's when channels start to fall apart. But if you can keep the love, if you can keep the passion for making the videos and for what you're talking about, it's, channels don't really fail when they keep the love. So shout out to Geek Zone as well. If you guys haven't checked out his Lord of the Rings Middle Earth content, please do. I'd highly recommend it. Raven SQ says, Tolkien's work isn't diverse. I agree with you. So I actually disagree with that. I think it is diverse. I think could it have used more diversity? I think that's a fairer point for sure. I mean, I think I've been thinking about this recently. If we got kind of more from Arwen in terms of the Lord of the Rings, like if she had done more in the events, I think that would have been cool. Just like Luthien kind of was honestly the powerhouse. She was the powerhouse of the tale of Beren and Luthien. She was kind of keeping it all together. She was keeping the group going. Beren would have died so many more times than he already did if it wasn't for Luthien. But I think there's a lot of diversity in Middle Earth, but you just have to keep an open mind about that, right? So literally the Fellowship is, the whole theme of the Fellowship is people from distant lands and different cultures coming together for this one purpose, this one fate, this one doom, coming together to face the Dark Lord together. Coming to destroy the ring, right? You have 4 hobbits, a wizard, a Maya, right? A man or 2 men, but from different places, Gondor and Arnor. And then you have a dwarf from the Lonely Mountain and an elf from Mirkwood. Like, yeah, that's I would say that's pretty diverse. Now, again, could it have used more diversity? That is debatable. That's up for the argument, but I think it's a very diverse story, and sure, I mean, it's almost a European story. So, in terms of people's complexions and things like that, I think the geography answers it more, right? And the people of Harad and Rune and these other cultures, they unfortunately were enslaved and dominated by Sauron, and that's why Sauron is so evil. I mean, that's another reason why Sauron is so evil, is because look at what he did to all these people. Look at how he went. He was in the East and he enslaved these poor people and made them fight for him, right? They're not just evil like the orcs are. They're not just evil because that's who they are. It's what Faramir says. It's like, I deem his duty was no less than like mine, or whatever it is, right? It's like, I mean, the movies show that too, right? It's Faramir. So, I mean, Raven says, I meant diversity according to our modern culture, which doesn't pay attention to different races like dwarves and elves. Again, I mean, like, I would even say that's up for, I'd say that's up for debate. But I do understand your point, and I think it is a valid point in the conversation. I'm not trying to dismiss that, but I don't know. I would just say, just look out for where these cultures come from, right? Because it is interesting that you have some elves from Mirkwood and Lothlorien and Lindon. They would all have different complexions and different cultures and ideologies as far as that's concerned, but. Yeah, and again, Sauron is quite an evil guy, because he enslaved the Easterlings. He enslaved the Umbarians, the Corsairs, and yeah, I mean, there you go. Maureen Hubbard asks, do you think that it is okay that the elves showed up to the Battle of Helm's Deep in the Lord of the Rings movies? I would say yes, in the movies. I would say it wouldn't have made sense in the books. That wasn't really their place. But I think they were, in the movies, kind of a stand-in for the Grey Company, which came in the books after the Battle of Helm's Deep. And they were trying to keep this theme of alliance going in the movies. They were trying to keep this theme of kinship between men and elves, and this love between the two children of Iluvatar. And I think also it was important because the whole Aragorn Arwen love story, the man and the elf, and then that alliance is not sundered. Originally, that Haldir moment where he comes in with all the armies, I'm like, it makes sense within the context of the story, but it makes even more sense when you realize the context behind it, right? So originally, Arwen was actually supposed to be there, and they cut those scenes out. Originally, she was supposed to be one of the elves who came to Helm's Deep. You can even see her in the background of some of the shots, right? When Aragorn and Theoden and all of them are fighting and they look up and see Gandalf. If you look back in the background of the people fighting, you can see Arwen and the actress, or at least the stunt double, fighting off all these orcs. It's a mistake that, it's a mistake because they cut out her other scenes, but she's still evidently in the background. It's kind of hard if you're not looking for it to notice it, but yeah, it's there. Engard? Oh my gosh. Engard EC. Sorry for being this guy, but Yoiston, have you already seen the post from a Lord of the Rings community on Reddit about you? I've seen a couple, and again, some are negative, some are positive, but that's how it's gonna be, right? That's what being, a YouTuber or whatever you want to call it. That's what's gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some of them, so. Again, some are good, some are bad, but I appreciate, the support, and I appreciate the love, and I also appreciate the criticisms, because that's how I can be better, right? That's how I can be more dedicated to Tolkien's works. Let's see. Dwarvish. Nice. Dragon Bro 91 asks, do you think you'll ever do a video on Dagor Daggerath? I actually have. It's Dagor Daggerath Wars of the Legendarium. I kind of go into the ideas that they had there and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I hope you check it out. No, you're not late at all, Maura Mahan. Welcome. And I probably just destroyed your name. I'm sorry. Welcome. Yep. If you guys are just joining in, or if you've been listening, it's always good to catch up and talk to you guys. Again, this is a good hallmark for me. It's always like a little bit of a breather, right? And that's why I kind of do it in the winter time and the summertime. It's like, okay, right, I finished the semester. I did a lot of videos. I can just breathe, relax, talk to you guys, see what you want to, what you kind of want the channel to be going forward, see your feedback, and just connect, and also take a break for myself, right? So I'm not burned out. Yeah, thank you. 80811B. Good attitude, brother. Keep pounding. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Again, I mean, there's only so much. You're always going to have an impact on especially today with the internet and all that kind of stuff. You're always going to have a positive impact on some, a negative impact on others. And whether the negative impact is actually valid, or whether it is, brought up by people to foster attention or whatever it is, it's there, right? It's there, and you have to be accepting of it. You have to be, willing to take the hits, willing to keep moving forward, because it is what it is, right? I realize that my videos aren't perfect. I realize I'm not perfect for sure, but that these videos mean a lot to you guys, and that they mean a lot to me, and that you guys, the connection that we have, right? It's really, helped me keep going and keep making videos, and keeping a positive attitude. So you're gonna have the negative stuff. It is what it is. Geek Zone and I also talked about that, right? I mean, it is what it is. Oh well. Jem Burke says, what do you think about the name Green Dragon? They gave it in the movies to the Inn of the Shire. Yeah, so the Green Dragon Inn of Bywater. Again, I think the Hobbits have some myths, some fairy tales about dragons and stuff, and it's possible, since their ancestors had lived in the northern vales of the Anduin, or at least near the Gladden Fields, that some of the older ancestors of the Hobbits had seen dragons from the Grey Mountains. It's quite possible that had made it into their folklore and things like that. And then you have things like, Green Dragon Inn and maybe some Entwives in the Old Forest, or some Ents in the Old Forest, and things like that. They're legacies, right? They're legacies of the Hobbits joining from a bigger world, kind of going into their small, hidden shire, right? It's legacies that they were once a bigger part of the world. Thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you guys for joining me today. Yeah, it means so much to me. Sorry, my voice is getting parched. Let's see. Sam Friedman says, what do you think would happen if Sam had never gone to the Tower of Cirith Ungol and just left Frodo and kept the ring? Well, that would have been a bitter end for the Free Peoples. I don't think the ring would have ever been destroyed if Sam had kept it. And, and we already see the effects that it had on Sam for the short time that he had it. It would have been quite a sad fate. I think he probably would have ended up like Gollum at the end of the day. Let's see, what is my, Marine Hubbard asks, what is my favorite Tolkien poem? Man, there are a lot of good ones. If you mean poems in terms of songs, I always say the Song of Durin that Gimli sings in Moria. That's one of my favorites. There are a lot of good ones. I'm trying to think, like, the one that Gandalf recites to Pippin on their way to Gondor about the Palantiri and all that stuff. That's a good one. Far Over the Misty Mountains. It's a great one. Love that one. Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of good ones. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on the mood you're in. I mean, Namarie, an all-elvish poem. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. I do wish the Silmarillion did have more poems and that kind of thing, right? Because they have feasts and things like that. It would have been cool to kind of get into that culture a little bit more, see what they are kind of up to. Ramming Rooster says, hey, do you think that Professor Tolkien ever exaggerated a bit too far at one point or another? I'd love to answer that question. I just need a little bit more context. Do you mean exaggerated within his writings or within his letters? What do you mean by that? I'll come back to that one. Oh, Elbereth Gathoniel from Liberty Ghosts. Yeah, that's a great one. man. Let's see. Why do you think Lord Saugoth says I like the name. Why do you think Middle Earth movies / books of mid movies / books. Sorry, I misread that. Mid movies / books of nearly any series get the lowest ratings? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because of the narrative arc. I don't know if that's always true though, because you look at like Empire Strikes Back. Almost every Star Wars fan hails that as the best Star Wars movie. Right, a lot of people do like the Two Towers. Now, I've heard that one. I've also heard arguments that Two Towers is the weakest. I think it's just like the narrative arcs, right? It's that you're right in the middle, so it's hard to start new things and it's hard to end old things, right? To have that character development. Sometimes it can just feel like filler. It can just be like, oh, they're going from here to here having an adventure, but nothing's really happening with the main story. I would probably say that's why it's kind of tough, because like the Fellowship of the Ring, maybe, it starts a lot of things and it, gets a lot of things off the ground and rolling. It gets you invested. Two Towers, it's continuing a lot of these plots without necessarily ending them. And then the Return of the King is obviously the narrative ends, right? Aragorn takes his throne. Frodo destroys the ring, or at least pretty much destroys the ring with the help of Gollum and Ilúvatar, who probably pushed Gollum in. You have these ends of the arcs. And I think that's kind of a sad thing that we're missing. I get why Peter Jackson didn't put in the Scouring of the Shire into the movies. It just would have been too long and it wouldn't have made as much narrative sense. But that is something that you miss, is the Scouring of the Shire is like, you get how Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin have all grown up, how they all have changed, and how they all have become heroes, like the elf friends of old, or even like elven lords of old, right? You have Merry riding off, sounding his horn of Rohan. You have, Pippin in this gallant, armor from Gondor. All of that kind of stuff. It's just like, wow, right? You've come a long way for almost like less than a year, right? You've had a lot of character growth. So excluding that from the movies, it is kind of tough, but I get why they did it. Let me see. I'm trying to look for the one with do you think Tolkien went a bit far? See, and that's like the chat, like you guys are all saying in the chat now too. Two Towers is your favorite, or yeah, I mean, so again, it's quite difficult to judge, the middle as weak or not, because people do love it. Oh man, Coholtz 45 says, "What's the best musical theme / score of the movie trilogy?" That's so hard, because you have your like classic Fellowship theme, bum 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 bum. You have that one, but also the one that gets me every time is the Ride of the Rohirrim, is the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Bum 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 bum. Right as they arrive on the field of battle, I'm like, oh yeah, chills every time. Sometimes I might even listen to that when I'm at the gym, and I'm like, yeah, Rohan, let's go. But then also you have so much peaceful music, right? It's so hard to say for sure, but I would say epic-wise, Battle of Pelennor Fields. Oh, so good. Ooh, Nelson Salmeron says, if you could create your own Tolkien character for either the books or the movies, who or what would that be? Oh, man. Let me think about that as I kind of go up through and just try to find, because I said that I'd answer that one guy's, I can't remember his name either, who said, did you think Tolkien went a bit far in some places? Shoot. Because that was, I'll try to answer that question as best I can too after I answer yours, but if I were to add a character, again, I think it'd be less about adding a character and more maybe about changing. So I wouldn't change anything about Tolkien's works. You all know that. I love them. I'm a Tolkien purist, right? But if I had to change something character-wise, I don't think there's necessarily room for another character. I don't know. I mean, maybe another dwarf in the Lord of the Rings would be cool. Like, not even a part of the Fellowship, but that we come across somewhere, maybe in Gondor or something. From, like, he lived in the White Mountains. That would be cool because we have a lot of elven men and Hobbit representation, but really we don't have too much dwarven representation within the context of the Lord of the Rings, right? Really, I mean, we see some at the Council of Elrond, we go through Moria, and that's where all the dead dwarves are, but we don't really get too much about the dwarves other than Gimli, so another dwarf in the story would have been kind of cool to see. But what I would change with the characters we have, again, is just probably have Arwen go with the Grey Company southwards, go with her brothers Eladon and Elrohir, and go with the Grey Company, the Rangers, southwards, and have her help Aragorn from then on. I think, at least in a way that's akin, that's very similar to Luthien helping Beren. I think that would be cool, but whoops, all right. Somebody messaged me on Facebook. Yeah, I'd say that'd be cool. But like I said before, so somebody said, yeah, did you think Tolkien went a bit far in some places? Again, I'm not quite sure the context of that, and I can't, maybe he did add more, I just can't find it, unfortunately, I'm sorry. I would say, though, so I know a lot of authors are like, man, yeah, the Silmarillion is crazy, right? It's too much, and it's so dark, and you can't follow it. I don't think he went too far, though. I think it's a very mythological tale, right? It's probably the closest thing to mythology that we have in modern literature. Because in olden times, right, you'd have the Norse Edda, right? You have these, you have Beowulf and all this kind of stuff that, like, is probably pretty hard to read nowadays. But it was such a rich cultural lore, and we don't really have that anymore. I mean, the closest thing to American-made folklore today is like Game of Thrones, I guess. Maybe, I don't know if The Witcher is American-made. I don't know. I mean, you don't really have much, and I would say, it's rich, sure, and it's good stuff, but it's not. It's simplified, right? It's pretty modernized and simplified in terms of modern politics, right? Game of Thrones and all this cheating and stabbing and stealing and all that kind of stuff. But then you have the Silmarillion, which is like this modern British lore, and it's like a mythology, right? No one believes that it actually happened. It's not like a religion, but it's a folklore tale. It's so rich and so vast. I don't think he went that far at all. I think it is really hard to read, but I kind of think that's the point, right? It's, when you're talking about the Elder Days and the First Age and the elves and the dwarves and the men of these different houses of old, right? It shouldn't be easy to read. It should be quite difficult, and it should be fun, right? So. Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, sorry. I don't know that much about the Witcher lore. The Witcher is Polish, right? So then that's like a Polish folklore. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Right, so I guess, yeah, American folklore in terms of our modern literature. Harry Potter's British, right? Yeah, Harry Potter is a British story. I guess our modern, folklore is like in America. It's, again, it's super modernized, which isn't a bad thing. But Lord Salgoth, so what do you believe? Me? Oh, I'm a Tolkienist. So true. I mean, Yeah, that's fair. R. Thomas Wright says American mythology, Cthulhu, and Superman. It's yeah. I mean, again, it's not to say that like Superman isn't like a great character. He's honestly one of, if not my favorite superhero, right next to like Captain America and stuff. But you know, it's just different. We don't have like this insanely tough read, and I think the Silmarillion is kind of like a callback to those olden days folklore from times before you know, expansionism and before all this stuff, or before like expansionism in the ways that we see it, you know, before America was colonized, before, you know, Europe really spread its wings and tried to take over the world, like in all these different things, right? It's old. It was when cultures were far more indigenous to where they began is where they ended, and I think that's a kind of a callback to a lot of those kinds of pieces of literature. So I think it's good. And again, I'm not saying that modern folklore and modern mythology isn't good. I like the Silmarillion and its callbacks to old, tough to read, gritty folklore. That's like, how did this happen? Where did this story come from? This is out there, but it's awesome. It's awesome because it's so unique. CMDR Terror Firma says mythology would not be a tough read for the people nearer to its writing, would it? That's a good question, and I'm not sure. I mean, if you are as familiar with the prose, right? I would say so. If you were reading Shakespeare in the time that Shakespeare wrote his plays and all of that, I would say it's probably pretty easier because that's more, at that time, modern prose, more modern English and language in general. So it'd probably be easier to read if you could read back then, right? So it's just different. It's a lot different. Because sure, we have like a lot more people are literate now than they were, but at the same time we don't use the same words now that we did then. So honestly, especially in this last whole year of making videos, I've become so much more of like a you know, I've gotten way more fascinated in language and linguistics and all that stuff because of Tolkien. Honestly, like studying Sindarin and especially pronunciations and stuff, it's really helped me there. Maureen Hubbard says, do you like Marvel? Oh yeah, I love Marvel. I'm not a big fan of the DC movies. I like the DC heroes, and honestly, DC and Marvel, love them both. Marvel, you know, the whole MCU was a pretty big part of my last 10 years, I would say, especially the last couple of years, you know, and how I interacted with my friends and all that stuff. It's really good stuff. Valagast, thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. Have you ever looked at Wagner's Ring Cycle? Tolkien didn't like it, of course, but I love it. That sounds familiar. Wagner Cycle is a cycle of 4 German language. I'm getting this from Wikipedia. Music dramas composed by Richard Wagner. Oh, yeah. Wait, didn't they mention this one? Yeah, I think they mentioned this in Tolkien's biography that just came out this year. Or, sorry, not his biopic. Not his biography, but his movie about his biography. I don't know much about that, but I know it's kind of had some influence stuff. Sorry, Dragon Bro 91. I think he's been asking me about the Third Age Total War game. Sorry, there's just so much going on. I do have that game, and I quite like it. I remember the first time I went through a whole campaign and tried to liberate Middle-earth as Rohan. It took forever. I played that single game for so many hours, and then I ended up still losing because I couldn't liberate every area in time. It was quite tough, but it was fun. PAB or Pabrew News says, I respect older authors. All new authors are simply ripoffs from older sources at heart. So I have a respect both for, you know, for all kinds of artists, authors who try to put their work out there, as long as it's not too contrived to just, yeah, like ripping people off. but it's hard. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is even with what I do, I mean, it's like, you know, making videos and stuff. Nothing is ever really individualistic, right? It's always based on, inspired by other things, right? So it is tough. You know, there are some that claim that everything. I think one of my old teachers said this too. It's everything that will be written has been written through the stories of like the Bible, Shakespeare, and Homer's poems. But I don't know. I think there's still a lot of room for change and stuff. Sure, now they might have a lot of callbacks or similarities to these pieces of writings, but I think there's a lot more nuance there that can be explored. So I think, you know, authors just keep it going, but try to keep it new. I mean, that's something I've run into, like thinking, what if I tried to write my own fantasy tale? I'd be like, well, before long, I'd end up talking about hobbits and balrogs and dwarves, and I'd be like, oh, okay, so I'm just ripping off Tolkien. You know, like, it would be like, oh, well, crap, I can't escape the shadow of Tolkien. And I don't think a lot of fiction writers can. But I think with enough work and enough, if it means a lot to the author, right, if they're really trying to expand and explore other things, I think you can get away from it enough. I mean, people call Game of Thrones like a Lord of the Rings ripoff, and I'm like, not really. It's quite different if you look at its themes, its characters, where it goes. I mean, it sets up a lot of the same archetypes, but then it diverges from those archetypes. So, Marion Baggins says, "What if Pippin had found the One Ring, or had the One Ring?" Yikes! The whole world would be growing with pipeweed. No, he would have. It would have actually been, I think, probably pretty sad. That's always the problem that I run into with theories. It's like, oh, this would end in a pretty sad way. Yep. Yikes. He would probably not be the Pippin we knew. He would turn to evil. He would try to be a tyrant. He would probably try to take over the Shire, and it would be quite sad. So I'm going to take a drink. Maureen Hubbard says, do you like Shakespeare? Actually, yeah, I love Shakespeare. I've acted in at least one Shakespearean play, at least in a modernized version of a Shakespearean play. It was Much Ado About Nothing, and yeah, it was quite fun. You know, I played Benedict, and it was good. It was a good time. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I love about live streams, right? I mean, we can engage in these conversations about literature and about prose and about, you know, writing and you know, anything. And I do love that. You know, you guys are very smart, and it's fun to kind of keep up and have these pieces of dialogue. So, Velgico Vulgic asks, I'm so sorry, I'm destroying all of your names. What do you think of starting a Lord of the Rings gaming channel? I don't know. I mean, maybe I could do more Lord of the Rings gaming on the main channel. I don't know. Like, I play so much Lord of the Rings online and some Battle for Middle Earth. I don't only play Lord of the Rings too. I could do more gaming stuff on the main channel, but you know, I don't know. That's never really been something that stuck out to me. Like, again, like a live stream here and there, it's great, but for me, Lord of the Rings Online is also a personal thing. It's where I can kind of go to escape into Middle Earth, and so I don't know, but I could definitely do more gaming content, Lord of the Rings gaming content, if you guys like that. Chris Shank? Sorry, I Shenk says, a video on the Battle of Unnumbered Tears or the Children of Hurin, please. I actually have, I just came out a couple weeks ago, or like a couple months ago, with a Nernaeth Arnoediad Battle of Unnumbered Tears video in our timeline of Arda. And I have a Children of Hurin, the Tale of the Children of Hurin, part 1 and 2. From the Silmarillion. I have those videos also taken care of. So I hope you check those out. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to talk to all of you guys from just so many different places. Hugh Gedney says, "What's up, men of the West? How you doing?" And this is Hugh from Long Beach, California, signing in. It's good to hear from you. It's so fun to talk to all of you guys. It really is. It's again, it's just such a solid community, right? And the live stream really helps me connect with you guys. Take a moment, take a breather, just connect. And I quite like that. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm having a great time off. Over the past month, I've had to write so many school papers, so it's nice to just be able to do Lord of the Rings stuff, and really, that's it, right? Just do my channel and just relax, because I'm exhausted. GV Santa, do you think the love story with Baron and Luthien draws similar like inspiration to Romeo and Juliet? I do. I mean, you look at the thing, right? It's I also acted in West Side Story, which is kind of like a modernized, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I mean, Baron and Luthien, you have this idea of two houses, Romeo and Juliet. You have two houses, and you have all these underlings from these houses and stuff. Now, it's kind of like that, right? Baron is a man. He's of the house of Beor. Luthien is of the house of Thingol, of Elwë, and of the elves, of the Sindarin elves. However, I think, in Romeo and Juliet and like West Side Story and all that, they have, both houses are strong, both gangs are strong or whatever. But Baron really, like, his people were pretty much all wiped out, except for those that fled to join their kinsfolk, the people of the House of Hodor. So it's really just him trying to marry Luthien of the House of Thingol. So I know there are a lot of parallels there. That's Akdag here from Munich, land of beer. Greetings from the United States. Yeah, greetings from America. Let's see. Gbod, does it worry you that some of the actors for the new Lord of the Rings show have been cast into roles that do not exist in Tolkien's Legendarium, i.e. like Tauriel in The Hobbit? I mean, again, it's like I said earlier, it's a fine line, right? You have to do things that expand and show us the culture and through characters and all that stuff. Like, you have to, show us the difference between the elves of Eregion versus the elves of Lindon and Imladris and Mirkwood and Lothlorien. Like, show us those differences through characters. That's great. But if it's too much screen time, if it's like, kind of like the Hobbits did, where it's like, now Tauriel is like is one of the main characters because of a love story that doesn't work, that's when it becomes problematic. Liberty Ghost says, no hate or anything, but when you mispronounce anything, it drives me crazy. I'm sorry. I think that's something about the Middle-earth community in general. I think everybody's tries to be very particular about pronunciations. Now, let me take a moment with that, too. I am trying to get better with my pronunciations. And, I think even when I watch some of my videos from a couple years ago, I'm like, yikes. Okay, I couldn't even pronounce that correctly. But, I was trying for sure. Yeah, so it's, they're definitely not perfect. I'm trying to get better, though. It's tough when there are certain names, like Scatha, the dragon. It could be Scatha, or it could be Shatha, but we have no idea. It is tough because it is a fictional language, right? I saw a cool comment. I can't remember who said it on a video, like 1 or 2 videos ago. Somebody said, well, it's a language, right? And I think they said it changes with time. And because it is a fictional language, because these different dialects don't, you can't hear it in real life. There's always going to be a certain point in time. I mean, we're only going to be able to know so much about the pronunciations, for sure. I can't remember how much of that he said in his comment, but at least it invoked that thought within me. So yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can do to really know, because I think if you've joined our podcasts, or if you've listened to the past live streams with Ryan and I, I've complained about the name Earendil. Even Stephen Colbert pronounces it Earendil or Earendil. And I'm like, that's different. I mean, again, do you roll the R? Do you flip the R? Or do you do nothing with the R? I mean, it's like there's so many different pronunciations that are honestly all correct for that one name. So it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. But I'm trying to get better. There are certain things that I can definitely do better with pronunciations. Let's see. Just looking through. Oh, Jackie says, have you ever read the books on Tolkien's lore and mythology by David Day? I bought most of them and I can't stop reading them. They're fantastic. They really help me understand the lore. I do have a couple books by David Day. Now, from what I can understand of the Tolkien community, he is widely regarded as a embellisher, as somebody that can't completely, whose books can't completely be trusted. From what I can tell, that is true. I think, so just be careful with David Day. I'm not saying don't necessarily read him at all or anything like that. Just be careful, because I think some of the lore that he says in his books are things that he either made up, he embellished, aren't true, that, so be careful about that. If you look at David Day, I think he has an article on Tolkien Gateway, and I think that kind of goes more into detail as to why some people don't trust him. Marion Baggins says, who would Ewan McGregor be in Middle-earth? Somebody who could meme a lot. Let me see. I don't know. I feel like I've just seen him a lot. Like, mostly I know him from Star Wars, where he's kind of become a meme. Hello there. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe he could make a funny guy from, like, Numenor or something. Or yeah, maybe he could make a Boromir or something. I don't know. I mean, depends on kind of how he is. I think he would be a cool comedic character, or like lighthearted character from Numenor, something like that. So Ahmet Akdag says he would be a young Gandalf. Him as a Lauren. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be pretty cool, actually. I think he could do maybe a good job there. The Red Meeple Society says, who's your favorite dragon in the Legendarium? Royan and I talked a bit about another plug to our podcast and our Patreon. We did a tier list of pretty much almost all the Silmarillion characters on Patreon. So if that's interesting, please check that out. I think there's a link in the description. Favorite dragon. So I'm caught between, I would say, Smaug for his events in The Hobbit and Glaurung. Glaurung caused so many problems in the first age. I would say, based on looks and physical appearance, I would say Ankelagon the Black, obviously. I mean, he toppled the Thangorodrim, and that's pretty sick. But I think, as a character, I think I like Glaurung the best, because he doesn't even necessarily just use his brute force all the time. He probably could have killed Turin, but no. He wanted Turin, his story, to go on, and he wanted Turin to suffer. And that's a hallmark of an evil character. So for him to curse Turin and to send him on this whole adventure to wipe Nianor's memory, and they got married because of that, like, brother and sister, it's like he did some really bad stuff. So I would say Glaurung. He's barely, in my mind, maybe a bit. I like him a bit more than Smaug. Smaug, super cool character too, and maybe that'll change too, because I'm coming up. I think I'm like most of the way through Mirkwood and my rereading of The Hobbit right now. So maybe when I get back to Erebor and Smaug, it'll be Smaug again. Seth Zadi says, "Who's your favorite Valar?" So I had this picture primed and ready to go because I think he comes up every single live stream. This is one of my favorites. I wouldn't necessarily say exactly my favorite, but dude, that's our boy right there. That's for those of you who don't know, that's Tulkas. I was like, he comes up every live stream, so I'll have to get the one on the left. The one on the right's Melkor, but I was like, I have to get this ready to go. So he's the champion of the Valar, and Melkor's pretty scared of him. He's just funny. He's like this huge like bodybuilder wrestler guy. It's like, oh, let's go fight Sauron, or sorry, Melkor. Let's do it. Okay, I'm in. He's pretty funny. I would say story wise though, my favorite has to probably be Ulmo. I just going through when you go through the Silmarillion and stuff, you realize how important of a character he is, how much he loved the Free Peoples, even despite the exile of the Noldor, how much compassion he had in his heart. I'm like, yeah, I would probably have to say Ulmo at the end of it all. Orome, I like him too. And yeah, I would say Ulmo because of his compassion, because of who he is as a character and what he's done. Nazgul of Angmar, that's a true Chad. You're not wrong. What a guy. Dargum, Comrade, Chad Valar. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Little Potato Man eats tomatoes? What? That's a beautiful name. Little Potato Man eats tomatoes. Hey, do you like Sauron or Melkor? Or Morgoth? So I assume you mean, like, which one do you like more? I love, like, as villains, they're both really great. I think Sauron does it, though. I mean, he does more personal deeds. He's one of the most evil villains in any lore, I would say. Right? He makes promises like, why can't I remember his name? The Barahir's fellow outlaw, right? The one that he captured, and he had killed this fellow outlaw's wife. I'm trying to think. I'm sure the chat will get me here. I think was it Gorlim, something like that. He was like, "Oh, I'll return you to your wife if you betray the location of your people." And then I think it was Gorlim says, "Sure, okay." Like eventually he's. I mean, it's not like a sure, but he's broken down, and eventually he says, "Okay, here they are," or whatever. And he's like, "Okay, so your wife's dead. I'll reunite you with her." And then Sauron kills him. It's like, man, that is evil. That is a terrible, terrible character, like villain, right? That's like in a good way, right? He's awful. Royan and I talked about that too on the podcast. Just nothing matches like that, right? He could have tried to fight the Númenóreans. No, he's gonna feign surrender, feign defeat, and then he's gonna go and destroy Númenor and everything that this place loved, right? He's gonna turn them against the Valar and the elves. It's like, oh man, that is evil. So I would say I like Sauron more. He's just more of a villain. And he's also just more personal about it, right? Melkor, he sends like his lackeys, right? He's kind of a coward. I mean, he even didn't want to fight, Fingolfin, and eventually he was convinced, but yeah. Yeah, Gorlim. Okay. Thanks, Bled 101. Gorlim the Unhappy. Yikes. Yeah, he had a sad end, and it was just Sauron. Again, it's the more personal villain. I think that's why, like, Darth Vader is hailed as one of the best cinematic villains of all time, even more than, like, Palpatine, is because, he's there. He's on the front lines. He's throwing people against stuff, He's force choking his own men. It's like, Palpatine, sure, is more powerful. Like Morgoth is more powerful than Sauron, but at some point, it just becomes so much more personal and evil. I mean, that's Tom CH says, yeah, but Thanos killed half the universe. I mean, you got a point. But again, I don't think Thanos was nearly as good of a villain as he became until he actually started to gather the Infinity Stones himself in the movies, or in, Infinity War. He was there. He was always like a looming presence in the background, but until they start doing things themselves and like, oh crap, this guy is powerful, they're not nearly as... I feel like they're not as evil. It takes a different kind of heart to look your enemy in the eye versus sending somebody else to do it, you know? Or like an evil to look your enemy in the eye and torture them or kill them or whatever. It takes a certain kind of thing there versus being far away and doing it. Yeah, Seth Sadia says, I'm so sorry I keep butchering your name. Heath Ledger's Joker. Exactly. It's like the line he says about the knife. You know why I like knives? They're very up close and personal. He says something like that, right? And it's like, oh man, you are a terrible person. You're not just you're not just bad. You're not just evil, but you like it. You like it. You're not just there doing it for some agenda or for some cause. You do it just because you do it. It's awful, right? So. I know. Wait, I'm so sorry. I know you said how to say your name earlier. I think you said Mora. Yeah, Mora Mahan. How many times have you read The Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings? It's hard to say, right? Like, with all of the videos that I've done where I've had to read certain sections over and over versus all the way through, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say. There are some parts that I've read way more like times than others. And some parts that I have read maybe a couple times. So I don't know. It's really hard to pinpoint that. Raving Rooster, LOL, you did a great Heath Ledger. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Jackie says, do you have any tips on reading the Silmarillion? I recently bought it, and I have no clue on how to start reading it. Should I read it like the Bible or as a normal book? Haha. Yeah, that's a good question. So I would read it just like a normal book, but take it chapter by chapter, and don't be afraid to pull out the maps in the back, in the front and the back of the book. Look at the lineages. I think at the end of the Silmarillion, there's, he kind of maps out the lineages, because when it's like Fingon, son of Fingolfin, son of Finwë, you're like, who? What? So I would say just take your time, read it like a normal book, but also use these other resources. Each page to read will take way longer than other books, though, right? But yeah, it just will, Raven Esque says, please get the audiobook. Martin Shaw is excellent. Otherwise, treat it like one huge long synopsis. Lots of events can take place in a couple of sentences. Yeah, I completely agree, right? Like that. I mean, I think there's an essence to it that comes with reading it, but I think also listening to it, great too. And that might help depending on what kind of learner you are, if you're visual versus auditory. Yeah, and he's right. It's like a big synopsis about some things. I mean, the War of Wrath takes place in like a page. I think it's like a couple paragraphs, and the whole war that took place, or that took many years to fight. I'm pretty sure it took place in a couple paragraphs. So it's just sometimes the scale and the scope changes. He'll spend a lot of time talking about certain conversations, but then a whole battle goes by in like a couple sentences. Or Enkelligon's death. The Enkelligon, the greatest and largest of dragons, he died in like 2 sentences. Bled 101, best maps for the books are found on Lord of the Rings Project. Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings Project. Shout out to them. They are really great. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, Raven. They, them. Sorry about that. Managed to get the deluxe edition. Joshua Marks Mark managed to get the deluxe edition Fall of Gondolin for only €10. Or, yeah, that's euros, right? Sorry, I'm not as well versed in my different currency signs. Euro symbol. Yeah, wait. Is that pounds? Is that pounds? Yeah, that's probably pounds. My bad. Sorry. My American arrogance is showing. Ignorance, arrogance, same thing. Well, pretty much. No, that's a really great deal, though. Sorry. £10. That's great. Swifter Pro, have a good one. It's good to have you here. If you guys are heading out or if you're just joining us now, I think we'll keep going for about half an hour more. But welcome, right? Thank you for joining me here today on our 5-year anniversary. This will be the last video. I won't be publishing another one today. This will be the last video of 2019, and I'll see you guys again in the next decade. Next week. Those are pounds sterling, my friend. Yikes. Whoops. Yeah, sorry. No, that's still a really good price, though. I mean, that's awesome. Mora Mahan says, who is your favorite character from the Lord of the Rings trilogy? I'm only talking about the trilogy, not the Hobbit or any of the other books. Just the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, to be fair, I think my answer would be the same either way, as Aragorn. I think Aragorn is my favorite character in the entirety of the Legendarium, so he'd also be my favorite character with the Lord of the Rings. Voice of reason. To admit your ignorance is the opposite of arrogance. Fair enough. Yeah. Ramming Rooster. Hey, would you jump on board the TV series if Amazon asked you? And what would you prefer to do? Act, write, build, whatever. Well, so I don't want to move or anything, and I'm finishing up college right now. So that'd be tough. Honestly, I think storyboarding, maybe even making a cameo or something and actually doing a face reveal through that might be cool. Again, and that's like complete fantasy. Amazon hasn't approached me or anything like that. But to make my mark in such a way would be very, I'd be very honored, right? But I think storyboarding and kind of helping them with the lore, being kind of a lore master for Amazon, that would be such an honor. That would be so great. Let's see here. Nazgul of Angmar, Aragorn isn't going to be in the TV series, right? I don't think so. I know the original plan like 2 years ago was maybe to make or a year and a half ago was a early Aragorn show. I don't think they're sticking to that though at all. Like maybe the final season, but I think Second Age is probably a better choice. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, so people are talking about the face reveal. Oh man, okay, so I don't want my channel to be about me is the thing, right? This channel is about Tolkien's works. And I don't want it to be like, oh, here's my face, now it's about me as this person that's, here's my actual name versus Yoyston. It's like, no, I am, as far as my channel is concerned, I'm Yoyston. I'm a lore master with Tolkien's works, and I'm just trying to do some honor for the professors. So, could a face reveal eventually happen? Maybe. We'll see. But I think it would be pretty easy if my face was out there to find out what my actual name is and where I live. And I don't know if I want that. So, I hope you guys understand that. It's kind of partially about anonymity. I'm running out of words now. It's been a bit. It's about remaining anonymous, and it's about also keeping this channel about Tolkien's works, not about myself, not about anything like that, right? Maybe a face reveal in the future. It's funny, I will say though, because you look at other channels that do face reveals, and this is always how it happens. my voice is probably not going to match the face. If I ever do a face reveal, it's probably not what you're picturing my face actually looks like. I probably look completely different from what you think I look like. Because I do that too. I mean, Star Wars Theory did a face reveal, and I'm like, wait, what? I mean, awesome, but like, you look completely different than I imagined you. And same thing when you hear the Screen Junkies honest trailer. Like, if you see his face, I'm like, that voice belongs to you. That's interesting. Again, it's not anything bad. It's just you didn't think it would belong to me, is pretty much what I'm gonna say. Yeah, some people are seeing kind of that point. Darth Nihilus. He doesn't want Gandalf knocking on his door asking for company on any adventures. Fair enough. That would be fun, though. Not gonna lie, that'd be fun. And I mean, like, here's another thing too. I do want to work in politics, and I don't want to pollute my channel with politics. I have always tried to remain, because obviously, just like anyone, I have a political stance on things. I don't want that to impact any of my channel, or I don't want my politics, my job in, like, my career to impact this channel at all, to pollute it. I think that's not what this channel's about, and frankly, I don't want that to be any kind of issue, right? So, there you go. Let's see here. Marion Baggins, what is your favorite ending credits song in the movies? I'm split between Into the West and The Last Goodbye. I would say Into the West, then Last Goodbye. Oh, but Song of the Lonely Mountain. Oh, that's good too. I would say here goes my list with the 6 movies. Into the West, I think that's just so nostalgic for me and so beautiful. So beautiful. And then Last Goodbye. Also all of these are nostalgic for me. Last Goodbye, Song of the Lonely Mountain, May It Be, Gollum Song, and then Icy Fire. I'm not a big fan of the Icy Fire one. At least I like Peter Hollands' version of Icy Fire. I'm not the biggest fan of Ed Sheeran. No shade to him. No disrespect to him. I think he's a talented artist, but it's just not my kind of style of music. So. Let's see here. Hey Sean Blake, how's it going, man? It's good to catch you here. First time catching this live. Again, it's just a nice place where it's like I can take a breath, talk to you guys, and just chill, right? And just kind of see what you guys to be able to connect the community together, because that's so much of what this channel is about. It's about a Middle Earth community. So, yeah, I like to do these every couple months, every time I hit like a major milestone. And I think today is a major milestone, 5 years with the channel, and also the, end of the decade and all that stuff. But Liberty Goss, Yoiston is a Valar in disguise. Thank you, but I wouldn't say I'm that I don't even know, like holy. I'm definitely not. I'm a man of Middle Earth, nothing more. Did I say Ed Sauron? Wait, no way. Ed Sheeran? Wait, did I say Ed Sauron? Now you guys are making me question what I've said. Nah, you're probably just giving me a hard time or something. Raven asks, how did you find your love for Tolkien's works? Well, I mean, I would say it's always been there. It's always been, for as far back as I can remember, into my childhood. I grew up with Tolkien's works. My dad introduced me to the movies, right, around the time that the movies were coming out and all that stuff, and then also he introduced us to the games. My brother and I. He introduced us to like Battle for Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings Online and all that stuff, and and it always was there with me, right? It always grew up, or I grew up with it, and it was always a big part of me. I mean, Star Wars was there too. Or like Star Wars is, I'd say, my second favorite fandom for sure, because I also grew up with that, of course, like so many people did. But Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth is always home, right? It's always home for me, and that's one thing I love about this picture that's on the screen right now. That is perfect, right? That's the Shire, and it's just so peaceful and beautiful, No matter how hard things get or how much I need inspiration or comfort, it's like I always have a place to turn, and that's yeah. So I mean, it's always been there for as far as I can remember. My cat's getting antsy. It's all right. We'll do 20 more minutes. She's a good girl. Yeah, I think people. I'm also younger, I think, than a lot of people think I am. Not too young. I mean, I'm in college, so there you go. But yeah, no, that's yeah. PA Brew News. I mean, no, I think I'm on the younger side of Lord of the Rings fans. I think for sure. But yeah. David Tichy asks, how often is this live stream? I haven't been to any so far. Again, every couple of months, I would say. Again, either big events like hitting a certain amount of subs, or I think this is the first time I'm doing this on an anniversary of my channel, on the year anniversary of when I created my channel, but not when I started to do like my normal content weekly. But yeah, I would say every couple months. So if you miss this one, I would say the next one we do, I hope Royan will be able to join us as well. It'll probably be in May, I would say. So just a special moment for us to all catch up and to talk about the channel and everything like that. Also, if you guys do want, I still need a video idea for next week. So please just let me know what you guys would like to see next week. I have a bunch to choose from if we don't think of anything, but just let me know. You bet. Your boy Ghost. I really love Latria, but I can't play it because it has an update error. Try reinstalling it. Sometimes, unfortunately, you just have to reinstall the whole thing. It's kind of a pain, but yeah, maybe do it when you're going to bed, and then you'll wake up and it'll be ready to go. Just make sure it's like updating before you go to sleep, and because the update's the biggest part of the of the installation, and it should be fine. I think the update, sometimes there's those kind of bugs as well. Yeah, Liberty Ghost. I'm not gonna suggest sharing, or I'm not gonna share how old I am. That's as specific as I'll get. I'm in college. X-Ray Pulsar. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's so great that J.R. Tolkien's work still reached so many people. It's not just older people who like it. Yeah, again, I think that's what keeps it alive. Again, a shout out to the artists online. If any of your art is in any of my videos, let me know, and I'd love to add your name and your website to the description of the videos. But it's truly, it's video makers. It's people who talk about it. It's people who make art and story, or their own fan stories. It's people who play and make the games and the movies and the shows. Though that's the community that keeps Tolkien's works alive, right? That keeps it still relevant in pop culture and in household conversations. I mean, without all this stuff, they'd be great but old books. So I'm so glad that all this stuff can keep going, and that people continue to add to what the Legendarium is, even in their community, right? That's why the works won't ever, the Legendarium will never die. PA Brew News. He's just trying to figure me out. He is a man and in college. His mask is crumbling. I think I've said all this on other live streams too. You know, I study political science. You know, I'm in college. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. Thanks to Lord LSR. Generally, you are shorter than I expected. Let's see. The world of Tolkien is so vast, Raven says, the world of Tolkien is so vast that there's a role model and a companion for every situation. Exactly. Sakal Ahmed asked me to read something. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. Let me pull up the full Aragorn poem. Yeah, my voice isn't feeling. I know somebody earlier wanted me to sing. I'm not. My voice isn't feeling that right now, and I'd have to come up with the whole melody, I suppose. But I can do a dramatic reading. Let me grab a drink. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king. Hope you guys like that. Sorry for the little stutter in the middle, but that last one, the crownless again shall be king. That's a part of my tattoo that I got for my birthday this last year. If you guys see on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, if you go back far enough, you should be able to see that tattoo. Chris says Andy has a cat. I do have a cat. Alex, hello. Just wanted to know your opinion on Star Wars lore. Absolutely love it. I love, especially a lot of the stuff that's not canon anymore, the Legends material, especially like Knights of the Old Republic, Revan, Malak, Mitra Sirik, and all that stuff. Like, it's very good. I love Star Wars lore. Nalu G says, what are your thoughts on the dumb the Eagles could have brought them to Mordor theory? I actually have a video about that in Middle Earth Explained. If you want to check it out after we end the live stream in about 10-15 minutes. Fireworks of Middle Earth, Marion? That's a great idea. I don't know how many fireworks we have to go off of, but I could try to make one. Honey Badger, he has a tattoo. We are getting closer. Fair enough. Josh Jones, could you do an episode on Where Did the Entwives Go? That sounds really fun. Do you guys want me to do a Where Did the Entwives Go video for next Sunday? Does that work? Yeah, that sounds really fun. Liberty Go. Everybody's trying to figure me out right now. The holidays of Middle Earth. Shoot, that would have been a good one for this last week. I'll put the holidays of Middle Earth in my phone. I'll have to make that eventually. Next time a bunch of holidays come up. Roach Tier, you single-handedly got me back into Lord of the Rings after a decade of absence from it. Cheers for many an hour spent watching your videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad and honored and humbled that my videos can help you get back into the Legendarium, you know. Sweet. All right, Entwives it is. That's what I'm seeing here. Where did the Entwives of Middle-earth go? Something like that. A Middle-earth explained. I think I have a pretty good idea of what happened to them. I'm pretty sure Treebeard kind of reveals it, but I'll keep you guys anticipating for that. Mora Mahan says, "Oh, by the way, before this live stream ends, I wanted to say I'm having fun while it's all bleak and slushy outside." I'm glad I could give you guys that. Again, I like to do these live streams every once in a while, and what more perfect time than 5-year anniversary right before the year ends, you know. There we go. And there won't be a new video tonight or anything. This is it before next week. So Marion Baggins, stop spoiling yourself. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave you guys with that. I think Treebeard gives us a bit of kind of well, it's a mix of Treebeard, what he says in the Two Towers, and then what Frodo and Aragorn say in the Fellowship. But I'll leave it at that. I'll have to also do more research because maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Tom CH, do you have a mustache or beard? I just had a beard for a couple months. I screwed up when I was shaving, and now I don't have a beard anymore. Trying to get that like Baron Aragorn look going, but we'll see how that goes. Hugh Jedney asks, how many orcs are there in Middle-earth from the First Age to the Third Age? I think you've been asking this question a while, so glad I can answer it. It's hard to tell. I think there were more in the First Age than there were in the Third Age. Even at the end. I mean, at the end, Sauron had a lot of orcs. I would probably say over the total history of Middle-earth, because of the First Age, I think the War of Wrath and all of that stuff, there were probably hundreds of thousands, if not more, orcs. In the total history, I would probably say the orcs ranged in a couple million throughout all 3 ages. Get your pen and paper. He does not have a beard. Michael Timothy, thanks for all the great Lord of the Rings content. You're truly awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. You guys are such a great community. It's so fun to interact and talk to you guys about, you know, all this stuff. To keep the community close and all that. So Marion Baggins, are you an elf, dwarf, man, or hobbit? I would say first in the order of how that goes. First, I'm a man. I think I would say like a man of Arnor or Gondor or even Rohan, and then a hobbit is my second most. Then I'd probably say an elf and then a dwarf. But I think my elf and dwarf personality traits are pretty even. So. Yeah, Raven wants me to do a series of videos explaining various songs. Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great idea. I'll put that on my list. R. Thomas, right? Not the beard! Very true. Now, OG, this is the best live stream I've ever seen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Tom, I don't want to have to remove all your comments, my man. He's starting to spam a little bit. That's okay. Sean Blake, I'm an elf, thick and thin. Tom, we're gonna have to... Okay, there we go. John Wolfie, thank you so much for the super chat. It means a lot. No questions, just wanted to say you really informed my adventures in Middle-earth games and made them much more fun and engaging. Hanon Lee. Hanon Lee? Wait, is that... is it Hanon Nin? I can't remember. I'm going to have to figure out some more Elvish. But thank you so much. It means a lot. Namadie, my friend. Yeah, I mean, it's the least I could do. And I mean, it's, yeah, I would say now, obviously my channel, and like I mentioned earlier, that, you know, people have criticisms of me and my channel, and that's perfectly fine and perfectly valid, right? I'm just trying to be the best YouTuber, trying to be the best Tolkien fan and person that I can be. So there are mistakes that I've made in videos. There are things that I could have done a lot better, for sure. But if I can open kind of a door for people into Tolkien's universe and help explain some things, you know, that's great. That's all I could ask for. And that's an honor to be able to do that. So we'll probably keep on for another 5 minutes or so. Dragon Bro 91, we need a video on dwarf bearded women springing up from holes in the ground. You're right. At least I'll have to do a video on dwarf women, because they are there, but I'm pretty sure they look pretty much just like dwarf men. Pretty sure that's how it goes. Michael Vanen Hanon Lee like Hanon sorry. Thank you guys for trying to help my pronunciations and all of that. Bled 101 and Liberty Ghosts. Let's see here. Oh, is it Sean or Zon? Asks, have you ever played the Lord of the Rings mod on Minecraft? Yeah, well, the one... I know there's like a huge Minecraft server with like where they're building Middle-earth, and I think they just built Minas Tirith a couple months ago. That was phenomenal. If you guys are into Minecraft and stuff, check out the Lord of the Rings. I think it is a mod plus a server kind of thing. Like they built everywhere. I think they're going through the events of the Lord of the Rings books, and then probably will go back for the Hobbit, something like that. But I think they just built they're building Osgiliath now. That's pretty much they just finished Minas Tirith and all that stuff. So please check that out. That's sweet. Voice of Reason. Are there any smaller YouTube channels you'd recommend? Not to spam. Clueless Fangirl is a good Tolkien one that I've enjoyed recently. I haven't watched it. I haven't been able to watch any of her content yet. Clueless Fangirl. I'll have to see that channel. But well, honestly, just there are so many good channels out there. Check my recommended on my YouTube page, like the friends of the channel part. But Geek Zone, Red Team Review, Preston Jacobs, Philosopher's Games, In Deep Geek, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those, like, there are some other ones on my main YouTube channel, but please just check those guys out. Really good stuff. Middle-earth content, Game of Thrones content, some Star Wars stuff within those channels, right? So just check all those out. Those are really good. Little Potato Man Eats Tomatoes. Still love that name. Like your videos. Thanks a lot. Do you want potatoes? I would love potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Yeah, Geek Zone, R. Thomas, right. Yeah, Geek Zone's, he's really good. He's a really good guy. Check out his content, for sure. Josh Jones, New Quest, Minecraft, Lord of the Rings. Let me see. Did I say everything I wanted to? Yeah, I'll just reiterate for those who are still new here, or who just joined in. Today's our 5-year anniversary of the channel. We've almost been going strong, with 3 years of nearly weekly content, but 5 years since the channel's been created. This will be our last video, this live stream, last video of 2019. But yeah, I wanted to shout out our Valar tier patrons again: Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, and Kyle Wetzel. And a big shout out to all of our patrons overall. It means the world to Royan and I that you guys support the channel and us in such a way. Oh, that is something I want to talk about before we wrap up here. So you guys know Royan, or you might not. Royan has joined me on some live streams, and we do our Westerness podcast on Patreon together. That's another part of Lord of the Rings and Lord of the Rings Online, right? Is that brought us together as friends. We met many years ago, and we discovered that we both played Lord of the Rings Online, that we both had a love for Middle-earth, and yeah, ever since then we've been really best friends. And yeah, so I wouldn't be the fan I am of Lord of the Rings. I wouldn't be the person I am without Royan, and it means a lot to me that you guys also accept him with the live streams and all that kind of stuff, because yeah, no, he's one of my best friends, and Lord of the Rings is a big part of that friendship, right? We started playing Lord of the Rings Online together years ago, and yeah, now he joins us here. So shout out to the podcast. Let me bring that up. We just did a if you're not tired of hearing my voice yet, we did a podcast like last week on the Silmarillion characters. We did a tier list with almost all of the Silmarillion characters, so please check that out on our Patreon. A link for that should be in the description. Let's see, since we're closing it out here, there's our Shire home. Oh, also, I did want to shout out, let me see here, the creator of this image. I just wanted to give, since, you know, this image has been a big part of the channel, it's our banner. The final image, yeah, this bag end image was created by Wayne Glassbrook, Glassbrook at designly.net. Such a great picture. It's ended out so many of our videos. Just wanted to shout that out. He's a good guy. We talked recently, and yeah, he's awesome. So I also wanted to thank Tolkien Gateway, other online resources, for helping me in creating the videos that I've created and for the future, you know, creations. Yeah, and you know, shout out to those. If you ever have questions about Tolkien's works, that, you know, just check those articles out, check Tolkien Gateway out. Also, a big shout out to all online artists whose works go into my video and make them my videos and make them what they are. If you want, just as I say in the description of every video, if you want credit for that piece of work, please let me know your name and a website where we can find your artwork, and I'll put it in the description of those videos. So just email me, let me know on Facebook, Twitter. You know, maybe I'll catch it in the comments. The comments, it might get lost, so I would recommend like emailing me or something. But yeah, it means a lot. Yeah, so any final questions that you guys have? Thank you guys. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you all joining me here today. Raven, Marion, Mora, all of you guys, you know, and so many others. It means a lot to me that you guys joined me today. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, man. Yeah, this was fun. This is always so much fun, but it always takes all the energy out of me, all the energy out of my voice. If you go back to the beginning of the live stream, I probably sound like a completely different person than I do now. Thank you guys, yeah, so much. You know, the suggestions and the great conversations about, you know, the diversity in Tolkien's works and literature and language and all these fandoms and Middle-earth in general and all that stuff. They've been so great, so much fun. So, you know, thank you guys. It means the world to me. Orange Lightning, I'll check that out, the DM with several image source locations. If you have their names too, the artist names and stuff, and also the videos in which I've used their works, that's great. Just so I can make sure it's perfect. Raven, I'll for sure do more of these, yeah. No, I completely understand if you guys can't join us on Patreon or don't have Discord or... No, for sure. It's just an extra place for those who want to you know, partake in those things. That's completely fine. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I think we're gonna wrap it up. So, this has meant a lot to me. It always does. And yeah, so thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure and all of our many past adventures. Thank you for joining me on this anniversary of our channel. And here's to a new year, a new decade, and plenty more of adventures, my friends. Until our next adventure, farewell. Namarie.